sure.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Pete Dougherty along with Jim Owczarski.
Yeah.
PackersNews.com. We're here for the Packers pregame. Jim, let's jump right in. You got the inactives for today. They just announced them a minute ago.
Yeah, I think everyone is probably concerned which receivers are up, right?
Yeah, right.
So we knew Randall Cobb would be out. Mike McCarthy said that this week. Geronimo Allison is not active today. Probably didn't get through all the stages needed for the concussion protocol.
That's big.
Yeah, so Devontae Adams is up. So that means it'll be Adams and then 3 rookies and Jimmy Graham. Yeah. So that's a big one. And then defensively, big losses, at least in my opinion, in this game, Pete. Jermaine Whitehead, the safety, has been out with a couple practices with a back injury. Jair Alexander down with the groin injury.
And Whitehead's off also.
Yeah.
So he's been maybe their best blitzer, at least best tackler when he blitzes.
Yeah.
Coming off the corner, the nickel corner.
Yeah.
So Kevin King returns, but Jair Alexander will not play.
Yeah, that's big. And then the rest of the inactive list for the Packers, guys you'd expect. So that would be Tim Boyle, Alex Light, and then actually Bashaud Breeland is inactive for the second straight week. So okay. I know we have a question there about what's up with him.
Yeah.
He also popped up on the injury report with a hamstring late in the week. So as he's trying to get back into football shape, I'm sure there's a combination of that, but also learning the playbook. So down a couple corners and a safety.
Someone's asking if Aaron Jones is going to start. We don't know that.
Right.
We won't know until they actually get on the field. If he doesn't start, I'm sure he's going to play a lot. They're going to need him. They're going to need to play him more than they have been. Because where's the offense going to come from with 3 rookies probably playing a lot of receiver, at least 2 playing a lot of receiver. I wonder if we'll see more 2 tight ends.
Right. It'll be interesting, especially if Jimmy Graham is used more. It might be 3 tight ends, Pete. I'm curious if Jimmy Graham is lined up detached almost all game long.
Basically use him like a receiver. Actually, that's probably very much what they'll do a lot of. So who's going to be the slot corner without Alexander? It will probably be Tremont. Will they move Williams inside? Josh Jackson.
Yeah,
they'll play Jackson. They'll play Jackson in the slot. Yeah, that's what they've been doing.
But I think the Whitehead inactivity, Pete, can be interesting for this defense because, as you mentioned, Mike Pettin trusts him a lot to not only rush the passer, but he's also dropped down into slot coverage. So, I mean, the Kevin King, basically Kevin King's got to make it through this game. Or that, especially with Breeland and Alexander being down.
That's an iffy thing, too, with Kevin King. With that shoulder, that's something that can be aggravated really easily. So you and I both picked Detroit to win this game.
We did.
I wonder if our colleagues would change their pick knowing that Allison's not playing. I think everybody kind of thought Allison would probably play.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough day on offense. This is a tough day for Aaron Rodgers. Now, his mobility must be better. I mean, he practiced.
It is.
He's not even on the injury report now, right?
Right. Practicing in full with that knee, second straight week. Actually, first time since, if you go back to week 1 of the season, the last time he practiced in full on a weekday. I mean, it's a big deal.
It is.
I think, especially with these rookie receivers. Yeah, definitely. Sean, we did pick the Lions.
We didn't just
pick them.
I picked them on. We did this on Friday. At least I did it on Friday. So
exactly. Yeah,
I think
we did.
My score was 28-24.
I was close. Yeah, 28-27.
I still feel like it was a flip of the coin.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. And a lot depends on how Matthew Stafford plays, if he turns the ball over or not.
Right. So real quick, we'll go through the inactives again for those just joining us on Facebook Live. Thank you, by the way. The big ones, Geronimo Allison is out. Randall Cobb, we knew, is out. Jair Alexander, out. Jermaine Whitehead, out. So those are your 4 kind of keys. Bashaud Breeland, also inactive, along with Tim Boyle and Alex Light.
There's huge interest in Breeland. We got a lot of questions on him last week, too.
Right.
He's still learning the defense. He'd been out so long. So what was he on the injury report?
Hamstring.
That was a hamstring.
Right.
So he probably didn't practice after being out so long. Probably tweaked that. I wonder if that'll keep him out for a little bit too.
Right. It's
or limit his work.
So going back, Pete, to the running back question about Aaron Jones and if he starts. I don't know if starting really matters to a degree. I think it's really where does Mike McCarthy see him fitting into that first 15 script, right?
Yeah.
But it is important. I mean, this Lions defense last in the league in rushing defense. It's a clear weakness. And what's interesting is, as Mike talked to our Tom Silverstein at PackersNews.com this past weekend, the end of the Buffalo game was meant to get the the offensive line a running chemistry.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see if that plays up or pays off. I'm
thinking 18 to 20 carries at least for Aaron Jones. That would be my best guess.
Would that be a career high for him?
It'd be up there. Now, he had, I don't remember the numbers he had, but he did have back-to-back 100-yard games against Dallas, and I think was it Minnesota last year? So he might have been right around 20 carries in those games, too. Devontae Adams is playing. Yeah. Now, I'm thinking they're probably going to have Darius Slay follow him all over the field. And, I don't know if they'll do that so they can double other people or if they'll go Slay and also have the safety help over the top. Because if you're them, your whole game plan is you take Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams out of you don't let those guys beat you if you're Detroit.
Right, no, exactly. And quite frankly, Pete, I mean, teams have made an effort to take Jimmy Graham away.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Detroit decides to play this in the secondary with Adams or Graham. Or again, if the Packers make a concerted effort to run the ball, for sure.
And Allison is not playing. I know
we've
already talked about that earlier, but a lot of people are asking about that. And he's been playing pretty well, even with he had the 3 drops last week. But he was also making some plays. He had a couple big third down plays. Was that in the Minnesota game or the week after?
Yeah, it was the Minnesota game.
Yeah, he had a couple third down conversions.
Right. Yeah. In terms of Ty Montgomery, as Mike McCarthy said, good point. Mentioning Ty Montgomery, he was drafted as a receiver. Yes, I think if you're going to see 88, he might be that slot guy. That's where he would probably fit best if he is going to be a pass catcher.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times. I could see him, using. I'm still waiting for them to put Montgomery and one of the other running backs on the field at the same time.
Right.
Then you line them up in the backfield. Then you split Montgomery out after, and you can split the other back out too and go empty if you want.
Right.
But I wonder if we'll see a little bit of that today too. Graham 2 touchdowns this week. Is that the over/under?
Wow.
I mean, you never know because when teams, if they want to take a guy out of the game, they can do it.
Right.
But the
red zone, and teams have been effective with limiting Jimmy Graham,
which has ended up helping other guys. We saw that especially in the Chicago game where they were doubling him all over the place in the second half. Packers' second half comeback.
Yeah, I think obviously people are most interested in who lines up at receiver. And look, the script, the first 15 might look a little different than the rest of the game, as it usually is. But yeah, Montgomery, I think, Pete, for me, it's going to be where do they use Jimmy Graham, and is Mercedes Lewis and Lance Kendricks also part of it? So 3 tight ends, if you will, but not looking like that because Jimmy Graham, frankly, you split him out wide, he can win. I mean, the speed might not be there, but he big body is enough to make him open. Aaron Rodgers talked a lot about his catch radius.
That is a big thing. I'm still waiting for them to put Robert Tonyan out there.
Right.
He
made the team, right?
And he's a better receiver than he's the second best receiving tight end they have.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a better receiver than Kendricks. So it's still early in the season, but he has he was on the practice squad last year, so it's not like all this stuff is new to him.
Right.
I wonder if sometime and then maybe even this week if he starts getting a snap or 2.
Yeah, I'm curious, Pete, defensively. I mean, look, we talked a little bit about Whitehead and Alexander being out, Breeland being out as well. What is your feeling on this secondary? Because, look, Josh Allen and the Bills were not going to challenge this team deep. Are these safety issues fixed? The ones, the deep balls that they saw against?
Last week gave us no indication of that. And this guy will test them because he'll throw it deep and he'll throw it into tight windows.
Right.
No, this will be a much tougher challenge. And, losing, they pick up King, but they lose Alexander. So when they want to go to their 5 and 6 defensive back alignments, they're not quite as good as they would have been if both of those guys were healthy. But no, this will be a much better. That was no test at all last week. Josh Allen he was so badly overmatched. Still wondering how the Vikings didn't come back even down 17-0 and win that one.
Yeah, there was a question earlier about Reggie Gilbert's playing time, and Gilbert and Fackrell have seen more snaps of late. Again, I think it's along the same lines, Pete. I don't know if you agree with me on this, where 7 sacks last week looked really good, but I don't know if that proved that they solved their pass rush issues.
You're playing against a quarterback who's holding the ball, indecisive. I think on one of the sacks, Fackrell wasn't even blocked.
Right.
And the other one, I'm not even sure. Did he clip his heel on that one where he spun out of
close,
there? I thought he tripped over the blocker.
Or Kenny Clark, right.
But maybe Fackrell got him. And the one thing he did, and he's always done, is he is good at chasing down the quarterback outside the pocket. He did that again in that game, and then it wasn't a sack; it was a 2-yard gain, but it could have been a first down.
Right.
He does have a good straight line speed, but and even Reggie Gilbert is finding too that it's a lot different going against starting tackles in this league than number 2 and number 3 guys in the second half of a preseason game.
Yeah, for sure. Drew, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's up front. They added Tyler Lancaster to the 53-man roster, so there was a little small roster addition on Saturday, Pete. They released Darius Jackson, brought up Tyler Lancaster from the practice squad. We've been asking them since the Mo Wilkerson injury, when are you going to add a 50th defensive lineman? When are you going to add a 50th defensive lineman? They brought up a guy in-house. Not sure how he factors in other than on a rotational level, right? Or do they think because of Detroit's run game and what they've tried to do to balance things out, is that just to keep these guys fresh?
So does he play ahead of Montravius Adams too?
Right.
I wonder, like on a running down, for instance, I wonder if they'd put him there. Adams has a tendency, as our Eric Bronchek says, to stand up and get moved out of there on running down. So I wonder if Lancaster will be ahead of him in the early down rotation at least.
Yeah, Montravius Adams can't get on the field. He's played 18 snaps.
Yeah, that's amazing. They were looking for him to make a jump this year after being injured most of last year, and it has not happened. Him and Beagle, neither one of those guys making a jump has been one of the reasons that the pass rush is an issue. But this was predictable going in, though. We knew this in the offseason. It was questionable with both those guys.
Right. That'd be a heck of an indictment, right? If a guy comes off the PS after 4 weeks and plays more.
It would be.
That'll be interesting to see.
We'll take 2 more questions if anybody else is out there is wondering anything, and then we've got to get back to work in Ford Field here.
Yeah.
So our other colleagues picked. Ryan Wood picked the Packers.
Yeah, Tom Silverstein.
Tom Silverstein picked the Packers.
Yeah.
I wonder if they changed their prediction now, knowing that Allison's not playing.
Yeah, I know for Tom, he thought this was the week the Packers offense would finally get untracked, with Aaron Rodgers being taken off the injury report completely, with that running game. Yeah. I think, at least for him, I know that was his thought. Was this? I don't know, Pete. I guess anytime there's Aaron Rodgers, you shouldn't really discount that, but we haven't seen it. I mean, 22 points. I mean, the last 2 of the last 3 weeks at best.
Think Equanimous St. Brown has any receptions today?
Receptions? No, I don't. I mean, I think it's because it's look, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is going to start opposite Devontae Adams, and so there's your 2 with Ty Montgomery, I think, and Jimmy Graham. I mean, St. Brown might actually see the field, but I don't know if he actually catches the ball.
Brad, I think a big reason for the up and down offense, you got a quarterback who's been playing on one leg.
Right.
They've worked Jones in really slowly, which he's their best runner. Today will be another tough day because of the injuries at receiver. And I know somebody else mentioned earlier they think this team is always hurt. I would still argue that this has been a pretty healthy season.
Yeah.
And these injuries that we're talking about are only 1-week injuries. They're not losing guys for the season. Important players. They've lost one important guy for the season, Wilkerson, and that's it. So I'd say they're still a pretty healthy team. But I would, back to the original question, I'm thinking this will still be a top, 6 or 7 offense before the season's over. And maybe top 5. Even.
Right. All it takes is another 400-yard effort in a 38-point game. That might come next week against San Francisco.
Yeah. Okay, well that'll do it. We'll be with you after the game. It'll be probably about 3 hours after the game. We'll fire up again. So feel free to join us and you can vent if the Packers lose or wallow in the glory if they win. But either way, we'll be here. So. It will pop up when just look to Facebook. And until then, for Jim, I'm Pete, and we'll talk to you a little later.